Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about extraction of aluminium. So, first of all, I will introduce you what is aluminium. Aluminium is the chemical element of atomic number 13, a light silvery gray. And also, aluminium is the most abundant element in the Earth's crust. Aluminium, its main ore is bauxite, which is aluminium oxide mixed with impurities such as sand and iron oxide. The impurities make it reddish brown.
Next, I'm going to describe in outline the extraction of aluminium from bauxite, including the role of cryolite and the reaction at the electrodes. First of all, I'm going to show you the setup of the electrolysis of aluminium with cryolite. So, first, electrolysis ions need to pass through the electrolyte, and so the aluminium oxide must be made molten so that this can happen. Second, aluminium oxide has a very high melting point over 2000 degrees Celsius. Third, so instead of trying to melt it, the aluminium oxide is dissolved in molten cryolite. The molten cryolite decreases the melting point of aluminium oxide from 2000 degrees Celsius to 900 to 1000 degrees Celsius. Before I go into the next step, I will define you what is cryolite. Cryolite is an aluminium compound with a much lower melting point than aluminium oxide, and so using this reduces some of the cost in extracting aluminium. Fourth, the steel case is coated with graphite providing a negative cathode. The positive anodes are immersed in the molten cryolite and are also made of graphite. Graphite is a form of carbon. Fifth, when the battery is turned on and electricity flows, the aluminium from the aluminium oxide in the cryolite forms at the negative cathode and sinks to the bottom of the tank. 6. Here it can then be tapped off as a pure liquid metal. 7. The aluminium sinks because it is denser than the aluminium cryolite solution. 8. The oxygen from the aluminium oxide in the cryolite forms at the positive anode. The oxygen reacts with carbon of the graphite forming carbon dioxide. The equation: carbon plus oxygen to form carbon dioxide. 9. The positive anode therefore burns away and needs replacing regularly. This is another reason for the extraction of the aluminium being so expensive. The overall reaction is aluminium plus oxygen to give out aluminium oxide. So let's have a quick look at the electrode. The negative cathode, where the aluminium from the aluminium ions form the molten aluminium oxide cryolite solution, are reduced. This means they gain electrons. The positive anode, where the oxygen reacts with carbon to make carbon dioxide, the oxygen ions are oxidized. This means they lose electrons. So next, the uses of aluminium in the manufacture of aircraft because of its strength and low density. Aluminium is ideal for aircraft manufacturer because it's lightweight and strong. Aluminium is roughly a third the weight of steel, allowing an aircraft to carry more weight and or become more fuel efficient. Aluminium's high resistance to corrosion ensures the safety of the aircraft and its passengers. The uses of aluminium in food containers because of its resistance to corrosion. Corrosion is a process where a metal reacts with oxygen in the air to form a metal oxide. Aluminium is very resistant to corrosion because it reacts with the oxygen in the air to form a thin layer of aluminium oxide. This is called the protective oxide layer. The protective oxide layer covers the surface of the aluminium metal and prevents any further reaction, corrosion, from happening. The third uses of aluminium is overhead electric cable. Aluminium cheaper and lighter than a copper wire of the same resistance per length. About 6 times cheaper and twice as light as copper. Aluminium has 61% conductivity of copper but only 30% of weight. So, a bare aluminium wire of half as much weight as a bare copper wire will have the same resistance, which is important in power transmission lines that span about a few hundred meters between towers. Even if the prices of aluminium and copper were the same, this would also mean that an aluminium cable would cost half as much. Since aluminium is roughly about 3 times cheaper than copper, a bare aluminium cable would cost about 6 times less. The summary of extraction of aluminium. Aluminium is the most abundant metal in the Earth's crust. Its main ore is called bauxite, a white powder from which aluminium can be extracted. The extraction is done by electrolysis. Aluminium oxide has a very high melting point over 2000 degrees Celsius. The uses of cryolite is to reduce the melting point of aluminium oxide to 900 to 1000 degrees Celsius. Negative cathode gain electrons, positive anode lose electrons. 3 uses of aluminium. First, manufacture of aircraft. Second, food containers. Third, overhead electric cable. The fourth equations. The first reaction is found in negative cathode, the second reaction is found in positive anode, the third reaction is carbon dioxide, the fourth reaction is overall reaction.
Thank you.